Welcome to The Aspiring Kryptonians, a podcast for Superman fans, hosted by Superman fans and focused around all things, you guessed it, Superman. After all, we are aspiring Kryptonians. From comics, TV, film and animation, each week we discuss our thoughts on the latest releases, news and even some retrospective reviews. So without further ado, let's get the show on the road. Hello and welcome to episode 12 of the Aspiring Kryptonians podcast with me, Tasmin, and the rest of the team, Evan and Ashley.
Hello.
Hi guys.
This week we're going to discuss our thoughts on Superman and Lois episode 9 and 10, Superman Red and Blue issue 4, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow issue 1, Justice League Last Ride 2, and of course the various bits of news that have sprung up over the past couple of days. So we'll start with the news as we usually do. So I think we'll go with the biggest news and probably the most relevant at the moment. So we've got a glimpse at the Supergirl costume for the upcoming Flash film. So director Andy Muschietti shared the image yesterday on social media, and yeah, it looked great. So it was obviously the Henry Cavill Man of Steel style emblem, which I was very happy to see. But did you notice that the Kryptonian symbols across the front were different?
Mm-hmm.
I did not.
No, so I didn't notice it, but I've seen it online. So they basically said that, I can't even remember what the Henry Cavill one meant, but there's some sort of scroll which is very deep and meaningful. And this one's different. So it'd be interesting to find out what it says or what it's supposed to say.
Yeah.
And did you notice that it was all sort of, the bits around the edge are a little bit curved. They were more curved than what they usually are, which was quite nice. And then you obviously had the red bit at the top, which we haven't seen before. But yeah, it's just nice to see that design again. So it keeps me hopeful that we're going to see more Henry Cavill and, well, in the multiverse and maybe even in this film. What did you guys think?
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. I love this director, the way he's just dropping photos left, right and centre. Of course, he's already done it with the blooded Batman symbol.
Yeah,
he's done it recently with the Flash symbol that looks, well, some people have put it to, it makes it look like a bit like a cigarette lighter from your car. Don't know if anyone's seen that parody yet, but alas, we've seen that, and now we've seen the Supergirl emblem. It looks great. Great. I love it how it ties into sort of the Man of Steel motifs and what have you. Looks wonderful, and I like the red encompassing the neck part and the shoulders.
Yeah,
a bit of a different take. I mean, we've seen it obviously with Jonathan most recently. We noticed it with Cal back in the day with his suit. So yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
I believe they had that kind of red on the top thing for the New 52 Supergirl costume.
They did indeed, and you know how much I love the New 52.
I do know that. Yes.
yeah.
The only thing I dislike about it was the red from the shoulders doesn't match the red on the S.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
Yeah.
we should see how it'll look when we see the full suit.
Yeah. Well, so far I like the design anyway, but you said that it's similar to the New 52 Supergirl costume, but it's also similar to the Lara Kent costume from Injustice 2, which a lot of people have made comparisons about. So, well, she's Superman's daughter, obviously with Kane Kent. Sorry, not Kane Kent, Lane. Lara Lane Kent. That makes more sense. I was like, who's Kane? But yeah, I can't wait to see Sasha Calle in the full suit. So, well, actually, speaking of that, Ashley had a little trip today to the set in London. And yeah, tell us what you saw.
It was absolutely wonderful. So I woke up this morning and ready to do a load of Aspiring Kryptonian stuff, write some reviews, watch some stuff, and I didn't do any of it. I went to London today, which in the grand scheme of things is only about 25 minutes from where I live. Hopped on a couple of buses and a couple of trains, and I was in central London, St Paul's Cathedral, to be precise, just by the Thames. And yeah, they were shooting The Flash. And it was very exciting. I got to see some taxi cabs, some yellow taxi cabs with a Central City on the side of them. Lots of other American detailed cars. They were sort of rushing to and fro the area when they were filming, and yes, I got to see the aforementioned Sasha Cal.
How I think that's how you pronounce the name.
She was suspended on some rigging, and she was in the suit,
No.
and she looked absolutely incredible. Obviously, it was just a bodysuit, and she did give a cheeky wave to some of the crowd that had amassed by this point. The suit didn't have a cape on it, but as we all know, these capes can be added sort of post-shooting.
Yeah.
If that is the case, it's going to look great, but it looks even better without a cape. You know, streamlined. The detail was just on point because I had quite a good view of it.
Yeah.
And
How close
very
did you get?
excited. Pretty close. I mean, St Paul's Cathedral. I'm not sure if all our listeners know its whereabouts, but yeah, it's in the middle of central London, and there's a main road that sort of runs adjacent to it, and there's a big sort of pedestrianised area just in front of it, and we were just a road away from the pedestrianised section. So yeah, it was great, and seeing her positioned upwards, and I also saw a bus, an American style bus with Wonder Woman on it, and she was advertising, or she was part of an ad campaign for like a children's charity of some kind, or a charity. So Wonder Woman is also being acknowledged in this movie. Ooh. And outside of St Paul's Cathedral, there was a beautiful vintage car outside. So whether or not that was for Batman,
it must be. Well, it must be Bruce Wayne's car or something.
Bruce Wayne. I mean, is it Michael Keaton? Is it Ben Affleck?
Yeah.
And then finally, I also got to see Ezra Miller.
Did you?
He was on the steps in a grey suit, and he had energy for days. He was bouncing up and down constantly when he was shooting.
Is in like a grey suit, or like an actual suit?
Like a three-piece suit kind of thing. So I was talking to a lot of people in the crowd, and I was like going with all my theories, and I was kind of like, oh, maybe his dad's been exonerated and he's got his suit on for that, or you know, things like that. So I was very excited. Got to see an awful lot today, but yeah, Supergirl's suit was just will be in.
Yeah, well, you shown us the pictures that you took from today, and well, you can see Sasha Cal she's got the short hair still, because a lot of people have been sort of saying, oh, I wanted to have blonde hair, blah blah blah, but it looks, unless they're going to CGI that on later, it looks like it's going to be the short bob haircut, which I quite like because the pictures look really good. Her
haircut was sort of it was short, but it was very sort of like kind of tatty and kind of very Rocky-ish. So she looked awesome.
When she first got cast as Supergirl, she had long hair, so I think it seems like she's got it cut specifically for this, because it was just when filming started when she shared the picture. So
agreed.
Hopefully. Yeah.
My theory is that the cape and the hair will be added later, because that way you don't have to worry about, you know, the cape or the hair flying in your face or on your body in an awkward way that doesn't look good on camera.
Yeah.
Especially since you're outside shooting. And my other theory is this won't be Superman's daughter or Kara Zor-El. I think since
agreed.
I think since we're doing alternate Earths, this might just be like female Kal-El. Like they have that in that that one Earth where everybody's gender swapped. So it could just be like a woman version of Superman.
Was that Supergirl? Didn't she appear in one of the early issues of Batman versus Superman?
Yes.
Where there was a female Batman and a female.
For like 2 pages.
Superman. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I don't think this is going to be a Kara either.
Yeah, I think because we know this is going to be like the multiverse, so it could literally be anything. Everyone's sort of guessing what they think it's going to be, and it's probably going to be completely different to what everyone thinks. And I think I've seen a lot of people say that it's within Snyder's universe, because they've seen the picture of Wonder Woman on the bus, which I've seen on Twitter. So it's obviously acknowledging Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, and it's obviously that Wonder Woman. So yeah, I don't know. I think maybe that's just part of one of the universes or multiverses that they visit, and hopefully it's a bit more to do with it. But yeah, we'll see.
What I liked about this was though that they could have had a close set, but I think they realised that this movie has been gestating for so many years now, and a lot of people, even perhaps to this day, still don't think it's coming or it's going to come to fruition. So actually, having an open set, letting the fans, take their pictures and whatnot, because they were very good at like not stopping anyone from taking pictures. So I think it's just like getting it out there, letting words out that this thing is happening. We finally got it
Yeah.
the way we want it, and it's on its way.
But then it's a bit weird that they weren't trying to stop people, because obviously people are gonna you obviously got the pictures on your phone, but you said there were people like actual sort of press reporters with proper cameras, and they're going to get obviously more detailed shots of the suit, and we haven't seen her in the suit properly yet, so it seems like it's going to be a leak rather than.
Well, I was actually speaking to someone from one of the big papers, and he obviously heard me talking and stuff, and he was like, "Oh, so who were you with then?" And I was like, I'm with the Aspiring Kryptonians, damn it. Yeah. So he was actually very grateful, because he was asking me a lot of questions, and I was like, I think I'm going to have to start charging for these answers, my friend.
You should have lied, and then he's going to print it and it's all going to be wrong.
Well, I should have said to him, like, the answers I'm giving you, you don't know what they are. And in the end, I was literally telling him what to take a picture of, because there was one of the guys who had a jumper on with like the logo of the Batman on it, which kind of knocked me for six. I was like, oh, hang on a minute, it's like a grip or a handle with the jumper on with the Batman logo. I was like, quickly, take a picture of that. And he was like, what, that person over there? I was like, just take it. So
you're in the wrong job, Ashley.
Yeah. So I was very fortunate to be there today, and it was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Very jealous. So moving on, do you guys play Fortnite at all?
No.
No.
I didn't think so. I've never played it, and I probably will never ever play it. My brothers have taught me a lot of the dances from the games, which I'm ashamed to admit. I know quite a few of them. But yeah, this is probably the closest I would get to playing it, but I still probably won't play it. But Superman's been added to the character list, as you may have seen. So we've got I think there's Clark Kent, Superman in quite a weird costume, like he's got a really short cape, which I found quite weird, and then he's also got the black suit Superman, which is my favorite of the three. But yeah, I don't know, but if you don't play it, I guess you don't really have it any interest in it.
I don't play it, but I've watched several videos on it. One cool thing about Fortnite that I appreciate is that they do these, like, they have seasons, right? Like TV seasons. And so every season it's like a new map. Everybody plays on the same map, and every season they change the map, but there's an in-story reason for why the map has changed.
Okay.
And it goes live at a certain time worldwide. And if you're on the map while the season changing, this crazy event happens, like a comet hits and blows up everything, and your character's all in it as it's happening, which is, I think, is really neat.
That is pretty cool.
So that's one of the reasons I looked into the game. Other than that, it's just a cool gameplay setup where it's just you drop like 80 people in there and you fight till one person is left.
Sounds brutal.
And so it's just like a third-person shooter game, which is a very weird genre to put Superman in, because he never uses guns, and he doesn't, like, when they did a tie-in with Marvel where they put Thanos in the game, and he could do like mega jumps, and he had the Infinity Gauntlet, and he could do, slam it down and blow people up. But with Superman, he's just walking around with like an AK-47 or whatever, right?
Wow.
Even with his costume on, he does have you do have the Clark Kent and the Superman, and he has a custom animation if you want to switch between them. He opens the chest, spins around, and turns into Superman. But then he's just using an AK-47 again.
What, so he's not using his powers at all?
No. He does have a custom weapon, which is a giant hammer made out of sunstone crystals, which he smashes stuff with. And I don't know how much you know about the game, but when everybody starts the game, you skydive out of a sky bus or whatever, and you skydive down to the map to wherever you want to start the game. And everybody has a parachute or a glider or whatever. And Superman does not. He has his cape, and it just looks like he's flying. So the animation, it looks like you can fly, but you're just falling with style,
Yeah.
Like
Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah. And how easy would it have been to just make his heat vision be like the AK-47 bullets,
Yeah.
Instead of giving him an actual gun. I think
it seems a bit weird to add a character like that and then not use any of the powers that he has.
Yeah.
Like having him gliding around would be awesome.
And also very unfair.
Yeah.
To the rest of the players.
He's just gonna have like 80 Supermen. Like everyone's gonna pick that character.
Yeah, well, you have to unlock him. So like when you play, you have to do certain things to get his stuff. And I think even if you don't want to play as him, there's Superman items you can get. So like backpack or whatever for your stuff. And one of the backpacks is a spinning Daily Planet globe. Now you can. So it's a weird choice. I feel like with Thanos, I could be wrong about this, but I felt like with him, since he had his powers all bulked up, he was like, you can, in the middle of a game, you can like get the power up and be Thanos for like 30 seconds or whatever and just destroy everybody. And I feel like that would have been a better option.
Maybe they might go down the same route with Superman, so maybe you have to unlock the power and then you'll be able to fly or super strength or something. I don't know. But yeah, I've never played it, so I don't really know what it's like, but it doesn't sound as bad as I thought it was from what you've said actually, Evan. But it's quite, it's cool to see that he's been added to it, even though, like I said, he hasn't really got any of the powers or anything, but because this is like a new generation of Superman fans that are going to be interacting with him, because it's quite a younger audience, isn't it, for Fortnite? So I know
it's a cool that they even picked him, because there's lots of other trendier heroes you could have picked.
Yeah,
like I'm pretty sure Batman's been in there, and I'm pretty sure Deadpool's in there, and like Rick from Rick and Morty. So they're like doing all sorts of crossover stuff.
Yeah,
and it is cool that they picked Superman.
Yeah, well, I'm sure. Well, the game has obviously been out for a long time, but the skin's going to be released on the 12th of August. So I'm sure we'll hear once it's been released how it is and what people think of it. But I won't be playing it, I'll be honest.
They're a pretty interesting company, really, to think that they can kind of cross-pollinate with other companies and get all these different characters in. Obviously, if you want, you've got this game and you want popularity and you want people to try it who might be a bit sort of jaded or not interested, hey, stick a character in it they're really familiar with, and they'll be on board. It reminds me a lot of
opposite though, Ashley. Because I think the game just exploded and became the most popular video game on earth. Then all the companies are like, hey, can we put our character in your game? So I think the companies are coming to them.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Well, there's that comic as well, the Batman, is it Batman Fortnite or something, where they kind of cross over anyway. So yeah, I don't know. I haven't read that comic, but I've heard it's actually really good. Okay, moving on. So we've also got a title for Aquaman 2. Have you heard what it is?
No?
Yes.
Aquaman. It's Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, which sounds very much like an Indiana Jones film to me, but it sounds really good.
Didn't they find a Lost Kingdom in the previous movie?
Yes. It was the old...
Didn't they find 2 Lost Kingdoms in the previous movie?
Well, the Forgotten, instead of the Forgotten Kingdom, wasn't it? Or
I'm sure it was the Lost... Yeah, the Lost...
There's the one.
The Lost Tribe, wasn't it?
The Center of the Earth one.
Yeah. Maybe I don't know. I'm sure we'll find out when the film comes out eventually. But we don't really know much about this film now, other than what James Wan posted, which is the title of the film and just a picture of himself in production. So we just know that it's in production and it's going to be released sometime in 2022. But I'm sure we're going to get more information from DC Fandom later on in the year on that one. But yeah, I'm excited. But
love the title.
Yeah, I like the title. There's been a lot of I've seen a lot of backlash because Amber Heard is obviously still attached to the film despite the Johnny Depp stuff, because he's kind of been written out of loads of stuff, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So he's been replaced in Harry Potter. Fantastic Beasts, isn't it? So yeah, it seems a bit odd, but I think it would be weird to change her at the same time.
Yeah, I think like with the Flash, the thing that I took most from this is the fact that yes, they're pushing forward with it. I always like that, to see like an image of like a character or the title card. It always fills me with just a sense of, it's pushing forward now. We're going to get another Aquaman film. It's in the bag. It's happening. And yeah, it's a very vintage title, sort of very much like, an Indiana Jones type of title. So yeah, I'm very excited.
Me too. And we also got a first teaser for Titan Series 3. Have you watched the series up until now?
Yes, I'm all caught up.
I watched the first season and half of the second one, and I might finish the second one, but if there's nudity in the show, I pretty much.
Yeah, I remember you said before. Yeah, it comes to the UK quite late, so we get it on. So that's my dog just decided to interrupt everything. Yeah, so we get it on Netflix, whereas obviously the US get it on HBO Max. So we get it, I'm sure it's like works out like a year later or something stupid like that. So yeah, I've been quite late in seeing it, but yeah, I've watched it all now and I've really enjoyed it. And especially the second series with Superboy and Krypto, obviously. And we didn't see enough of them, in my opinion, because obviously the story was more focused around Starfire and Hawk and Dove as well.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people, I don't know why, but I've seen a lot of people hating on it on social media, saying like to boycott it and saying, but I have no idea why, because I think it's really, really good. And compared to some of the other DC shows, especially like the CW shows, it blows out of the water. Like,
I do think it is too, like, it doesn't match the tone of the Teen Titans comic, any Teen Titans comic, and it's very grim dark.
Yeah,
and that might be the reason why. Because I mean, I feel like if you took out all of the stuff that makes it TVMA, you'd have the same show, and it would still be just as good.
Yeah, I think the only judgment I have of it is that they killed off Donna Troy. Like,
did they? Spoilers.
Oh, sorry.
She was a great character. She was a great character. I loved her.
Yeah, I did too. She was one of my favorites, other than obviously Superboy and Krypto. But yeah, it just didn't make any sense, and the way that she died, it was just like, really. But hey.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say though, if we're going to talk about the trailer quickly, one of my favorite characters, Jason Todd, aka the Red Hood.
Yeah.
He looks pretty damn good. I mean, for years and years and years, I think the fans have wanted Jensen Ackles as Red Hood. I know that he's a big fan, and he's cosplayed him a few times for Halloween bashes and whatnot. But yeah, I think he looks pretty good. And I like the kid that plays Jason. He's got a big mouth, and he's arrogant and obnoxious, and he's arrogant and obnoxious. But I like that. I like that about young Jason. He's cocky and self-assured, and he's out on the street fighting with Batman. But yeah, he looks good in this. He looks real good. And yeah, tying in the whole death in the family kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, they're going that way.
I think you mentioned something in your review for Superman and Lois, Evan, which is leading me on to this, but it seems to be like a bit of a pattern now. So you'll go from live action first, and then animated, and then it comes to live action. So we had Superman Red Son, and then Red Daughter and Supergirl. Although I think Red Daughter did come first in that instance. You have the Death and Return of Superman, which seems to be what they're setting up in Superman and Lois potentially. And then you also have Death in the Family, which has just come out, or not long came out on an animated film. I think, was it last year, the year before? Where that was the one where you could pick the options yourself. Yeah. And then obviously they're bringing that into this now, because, well, we got first look of the Joker, which, well, just the back of him, I guess, and some of his victims. And yeah, it seems very much like it's going to be death in the family.
It'll be very interesting because, I mean, they show Red Hood in the trailer. So we're going to have Jason die and then get resurrected in one season, like of 13 episodes. That it could be interesting. They could be throwing us a red herring, and it might not be Jason as the Red Hood.
That's what I was thinking. Like with the Hush animated series, the Hush this Hush animated movie most recently, where they kind of switched characters around a bit. So
yeah, well, I mean, you've got to. I think with things like this, because everyone's so familiar with the story, you've got to switch things up. So whether it's a different character going to be it, because I know it's not necessarily true to comics if you do switch it up, but you don't want it played out exactly like you're.
It depends on how you switch it up. Like I really enjoyed the switch up they did with the Hush movie. However, like in Gotham, where they're doing the very convoluted origin of the Joker, where there's two Jokers and one's dead and one's a brother, and it's like, okay, this was a mistake.
Mind you, I liked that kid that played that actor.
Yeah, he was real good.
That character a lot. He was great. And he was also, I think, he was the base for the Star Wars character in Fallen Order or Fallen Jedi Temple game.
Character.
He was great.
He did all the acting in mocap, and they just modeled the character after his face.
Yeah, he's great. He's a great actor. I would like to see him do some more, to be honest with you, because I thought he was great. He was my standout for Gotham.
Yeah, he was really, really good. And I think as it went on with Gotham, his face kind of got worse and worse, and it was just terrifying. He did play a very good Joker. But yeah, so Titan Series 3 is going to get a premiere on HBO Max on the 12th of August, and those in the UK will probably get it around a year or so later, sadly. But there's no official date, and we don't even have a date as to when we're going to get Superman and Lois yet in the UK.
Or Young Justice.
And we're halfway through Batwoman Series 2, which is terrible. But I've been watching it just because I've been watching all the shows, so I feel like I'm in too deep to stop watching it now. But
I haven't touched on it yet.
No.
Is it right that Bruce Wayne is in that?
He kind of.
But he's not operating as Batman, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's one thing I can't stand about any kind of. I don't want to go on too much, but that's one thing I can't stand about Batman being in Bruce Wayne being in something. Batman, that he doesn't take time off. He's always Batman all of the time.
Well, Bruce Wayne is in it, but it's not Bruce Wayne. It's really hard to explain. You need to watch it to get it. Okay. It's going to be too complicated for me to explain. But yeah, it's a weird one, and I think the only reason that I've been interested in it is because the villain's pretty cool, and she's just crazy. So I've enjoyed that. But on to the final piece of news. So DC Comics have teamed up with Kodansha to bring us a Superman manga series.
Oh yeah.
Have you heard of this?
No. So the series is going to be titled Superman versus Meshi, which pretty much translate to Superman versus food, which instantly I get man versus food vibes in my head. It's an unusual idea, but I'm open to it. And it's going to be written by Miyagawa Satoshi and illustrated by Katago Kai. And we've seen the preview pages so far. Well, I've seen the preview pages. I don't know if you guys have, but it looks really, really good.
Yeah. Apparently it's about Superman traveling all around Japan and trying lots of different Japanese food.
Yeah, which it just seems weird, but I'm sure there's going to be some sort of villain, or do you know what I mean?
It'd be nice if it was just like a slice of life.
Yeah.
A little chill comic when he's just going around.
Taking on the food challenges in Japan.
Yeah.
But sadly, as far as I can tell, this series is only going to get a release in Japan.
Okay.
Which is annoying for us Superman collectors overseas, but if you're listening and you're from the area, please get me a copy.
Actually, I just heard about this. There is a service, there's an app right now that will connect you with a Japanese citizen who will go to the store and buy something for you and then send it to you if you want exclusive Japanese things. So you might have to utilize that.
That sounds
wow.
great.
to get some copies of that.
That's very niche. It's a
Yeah.
niche app. But I like it. So yeah, I hope it does really well there, and obviously that will mean that they'll extend the release worldwide. But excuse me, it's going to be out on the 22nd of June, so not that long to wait, and I'm sure people are going to be posted on social media what they think. So I'm going to hype it up as much as possible because I want to read it myself. And onto the Superman based stuff. We'll start with Superman and Lois because we've got quite a lot to talk about. We'll start roughly with episode 9, but I think there are hints of episode 10 in my notes as usual because I can never remember which one is which. So from here on, a spoiler warning will be issued because, yeah, you've had time to watch it and it's impossible to talk about a show like this and not go into full detail. So please watch it before you listen to the rest of the podcast, and that goes for any of the comic issues we talk about as well. So first of all, I've kind of written the notes as I was watching it, so it's kind of in order. So I love how they're all sort of working together, like Lois, Lana, Superman, and the army, which I think they're all playing their separate parts and then bringing it all together, which is quite nice, rather than just falling over each other. Yeah, what did you think about issue 9, episode 9? Issue 9.
Well, I don't think it was as strong as the last episode. The last episode has been my favorite. I love that one. Yeah. But it was still good. Some great moments with Sam Lane, and we're getting into his character a little bit and his faults, and kind of interesting to see his that the family's actually getting to him, like they're causing him think about his actions, and he's making positive changes. And I thought that's something we don't usually see with that guy in the comic books. So
how about you, Ashley?
Yeah, I will echo straight away Evan's points. I thought that the last episode, or the episode before this, was my favorite and the strongest. In my mind, I kind of built this one up. I probably shouldn't have, because each episode is different and they all have their strengths and weaknesses, and it's not that episode's duty to be as good. It's all about the story, and and I liked this one. I feel that Edge is kind of his character's being eked out a little bit more. In this, I feel that he's getting flushed out a bit more, and I feel that we might learn some more bits about him in episodes to come. Maybe the episode after this, perhaps.
Then we're going to be talking about shortly.
Exactly, yeah. I'm just looking at some notes I put down as well, and yeah, it was a good one. It was a good one. I think my main focus as well was what everyone was saying about them working as a unit. I feel that Superman and the army, that's a real tricky relationship because, for all intents and purposes, Superman is a WMD. He's a weapon of mass destruction, and the army are always going to play some type of role in his story because, well, you've got a nuclear bomb walking around your country, and yeah, it's nice to see that they're on the same page finally. I know it's all about conflict with the army that people love to see, and that's where the payoffs are. We've seen in the comics when the army are creating offshoots that are just solely to take down Superman. So it's nice that we're past that and we can see them working as a group, or at least working in tandem.
Well, in episode 9 in particular, they kind of explore that whole weapons against Superman kind of thing, but because they obviously used it in a previous episode. I keep going to say issue because I'm used to talking about comics, but yeah, so Clark develops kryptonite poisoning, which then gets passed on to Jordan, and I think it makes sense to explore that idea about because there was the argument between Jonathan and General Lane about why he's making these weapons that can harm his family, especially his dad. But then I feel like it wasn't really needed in the grand scheme of things, like the poisoning in particular, because it did allow for some great drama between Lois and her dad. Obviously, they had the little discussion, and she basically said, "It's my family, stop hurting them." But it just seems very much of the time, and I don't know about you, but any type of mention of a virus or that kind of genre is just at the bottom of my list of things that I want to watch.
I took away something completely different. I thought it was, I didn't relate this to the coronavirus at all. I thought this was like a very well done and balanced look at like something like gun control or weapons, because you have, because obviously they're doing these kryptonite things, and it can hurt Superman, it can hurt the family, and Lois is ready to just cut him out of her life. And then at the end of the episode, the only reason she and her son are alive is because they use the same exact weapon to stop the assailants from killing them. And it's like, wow, very interesting. Like there's great points on both sides of this thing, and this is the world we live in. You know, I thought it was a cool superhero sci-fi exploration of that subject matter.
Yeah, I think, well, because coronavirus is like so fresh, I think for me that's the first thing I linked it to. But then when that moment happened, when obviously General Lane saved the day, pretty much, it did it does kind of explain the argument that the Army and Superman have with each other, like you say, Ashley, where he is this powerful being and he's saying, oh, I'm never going to change, I'm never going to be bad, but they don't know that for sure. And obviously you've got other Kryptonites, like he's not Kryptonians, he's not the only one, so you don't know how they're going to be. So it makes sense, but like you say, the arguments on both sides, and it makes sense. But in this one as well, I really enjoyed seeing Jordan sort of develop his powers, because I think a lot of people, when you watch read or do anything to do with superheroes, you kind of wish that you had their powers, don't you? Everyone does. And I think people think it's all hunky-dory and it's all fine. Yeah. But obviously this kind of shows up there's complications with that, and I think this episode did a really good, showcase that really well, because they're obviously unpredictable and potentially dangerous. When I first saw, he sneezes and then you see the ice come through his hand, I instantly thought of Doomsday when I saw that, and I was thinking, how are they gonna, what's going on here? But I'm glad that didn't pan out.
I love that, and I would love to explore something like that in a Superman comic book. I don't know if you guys saw the episode of Superman Lois where Lois and Clark, the original show, where Superman gets a cold because of some sort of kryptonite shenanigans, and Lois comes home and their apartment is just destroyed, like completely destroyed. And she's like, "What happened, Clark?" He's like, "I sneezed."
I remember that episode actually. It was good.
It's sort of like with Man of Steel, isn't it? I mean, obviously when Clark starts to display his powers in Man of Steel, you know, they touch upon the more horrific side. I mean, you know, where he starts seeing everyone, you know, the X-ray vision and seeing like the body and the skull and stuff like that. There's a lot of frightening imagery going on there. So I always appreciate it as well when they show that the superpowers always come with a little bit of a a bit of training involved.
Not as easy as it looks.
Exactly. It's not just a case of jumping up in the air and you're there.
Sticking with episode 9 for now. So Morgan Edge also revealed his race, I guess, which is Kryptonian. At this point, we didn't really know who he was or what the emblem was. So my first guess was Jem'Hadar, or a descendant of Jem'Hadar, or from family at least. And we at least knew at that point that he was creating an army, which had Kyle. Isn't it? Last name isn't Lang, is it? I can't remember what his last name is.
No. I can't remember either. Cushing.
That's it. I just put in brackets Lana's husband, being one of the Kryptonians, which I thought was a really great twist, because I did not see that coming.
Didn't see that one coming either. And I like how they set that up at the very beginning, where they show that scene of him coming in to see Morgan Edge, but you don't know it's him. Somebody.
That was really clever. Moving on to episode 10, because there's a lot to talk about on this one. So straight away we learned exactly who Morgan Edge really was, which is Tar-Ro, Kal-El's brother. So he's the child of Lara Lovan, Superman's mom, and Zeta Rowe, and they were forced together in a Kryptonian union before she met and fell in love with Jor-El. So I'm not familiar with this character at all in comics because I haven't got to that era yet. If he
I think it's made up.
Oh.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I don't think this is in comics. I think this is totally made up just for this show.
Okay.
And
makes me feel better.
I'm hope like what they're describing here is like almost verbatim what happened in the Krypton show, and how Kryptonians were they're just matched. They're like, you guys are good biological matches.
Yeah.
You go stick your finger in a thing, it takes your DNA, turns it into a baby. And you know,
I wish it was that easy.
and so, you know, I feel like if I like that, and I hope that they intentionally tie this into the Krypton show.
That would be cool.
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah, that show was just so good, and it's such a shame that it's cancelled, and I don't know, wasted opportunity. But I keep saying Morgan Edge, Taro used the term eradicated, which also led us to believe that they're going to play out another particular character. So what was your reaction to that moment?
Oh, nothing but exciting. I love that whole period of time. I think I said it in a few shows back, you know, characters like the Eradicator, you know, Superboy in his cool biker jacket, Henry Irons, they really do elicit strong feelings for me. You know, that period of time was just really rich, and it was like, I think one of Superman's most popular times, really, wasn't it? You know, crossing over from comics to, you know, the public attention and what have you, the black suit. I'm excited. He's a great character design. He's been recently used in, I think, Vendetti's run on Justice League. They had the Eradicator in a really great run where he was trying to create, or he had created like a new race of Supermen. Yes, exactly right. Yeah, so I love him. He's a character that always seems to find a place, you know, whether it's the mid-90s, you know, he's found his way all the way into the noughties and beyond. So he's a very versatile character.
His most recent arc with Dan Jurgens in the Son of Superman storyline, and they brought him back for that. So good. And then they crossed him over with Green Lantern. And man, it's so awesome. You know, as soon as he said eradicated, I'm like, oh. Well,
it's definitely the Eradicator is definitely like a word in Superman lore. When a Superman fan hears it, it's a bit like The Walking Dead when you hear sort of like the governor or Negan's name. You know, for Superman fans, you know, Eradicated, Eradicator, it sends a chill up the spine. You know what's coming.
Yeah. You know that meme with Leonardo DiCaprio pointing at the screen like, that's what I did when I saw it.
I'm very proud of myself because I believe I recognized the Eradicator device in like episode 3 or 4. And
nice.
And then they go back and they show it, and it's exactly that thing. And I'm like, oh yeah, there it is. They confirm it. It is the Eradicator device.
Yeah. It seems silly that they would tease such a big character like that and not explore it, especially when we've already got Steel from the same story arc. And then, like you were saying in your review, Evan, you've got Dabney Donovan, who was the chief architect for Superboy, Connor Kent. So it all seems to be coming together to be the death of Superman, and that's kind of why I thought Doomsday as well. I don't know why, but it's always that storyline. Everything always leads to that sort of storyline, at least. So obviously Batman versus Superman does as well, and
I'd be interested to see if they did the reign of Superman without the death of Superman story. I think that would be interesting. A new way to do it. Like, you introduce all these characters, you have Superman imposters, but you don't have him be dead, or maybe you have him just go missing, you know, in space or something. And it's also interesting because we have established this is in the same exact universe as the other CW shows, and we already have Hank Henshaw, Cyborg Hank Henshaw in that. And so I'd be interested to see if they change him, like, because Hank Henshaw originally, he doesn't look like Clark Kent. He's just another man, and then he's a cyborg, and he steals some of Superman's tissue to assume his form. So I think it'd be interesting if we continue that through line and say, okay, I was looking like my original self, but now I'm gonna transform myself
Isn't
into Clark Kent.
isn't Cyborg Superman also Kara's dad?
No, he's
I'm pretty
not.
sure he is.
No, stop.
Oh,
That never happened.
I wanted to touch upon the what you guys spoke about earlier, actually, about the matchmaking and whatnot of Morgan's sort of like becoming. I always find it fascinating when you do go back and explore and mine Krypton's past, because it goes through very ebbs and flows of a murky time. It's quite, like in the comic books, the whole clone uprising and things like that. There's a lot of sort of grim times in Superman's and Krypton's mythology. It's not always the beacon, the shining beacon, the sort of like the world. There's a lot of bad times as well. So this sounds like it's another kind of murky area where the Kryptonians were subjected to some weird kind of ways of living, kind of thing. I always find that quite interesting.
That's why I never like it when Jor-El is like this paragon of moral absolutitude. That's not a word, but
absolutitude is now.
Yes.
Can we get some pins of that made?
What was the word again? I'll write that.
Absolutitude.
Absolutitude.
Yes. Because he's born and bred out of this like kind of messed up society, and but through his life he kind of learns and is figuring out all by himself that wait, this is not how we should be living. We should make some changes. And I kind of like it more where he's like this flawed guy trying to figure it out and do the best for his family and his son.
Because at one time, weren't the Kryptonians isolationists as well at one point, weren't they? Or
that was John Byrne, and I
so
love that.
So there's a lot of different periods of time in Krypton's mythology where it's not been as colourful and bright and hey, we're all fantastic as it always kind of is portrayed. They've been grim at times,
You have no idea how many times I thought about that isolationist Krypton during the pandemic. I'm like, we're turning into Krypton. We're all in our little citadels. And
it can easily happen, can't it? If you pay too much attention to the news or what's going on in the world, you can become sort of like that. So
but on a less deeper note, what I did like is exploring sort of Taro's upbringing when he landed, because he landed in Britain, didn't he? In this one, I can't remember exactly where it was, but he got hunted, but he did also kill those two people
after they tried to shoot him.
Well, I know, but I don't know. I mean, I understand why they're hunting him, because if you found someone like that in the woods who's just straight up like, it's like Brightburn, isn't it? It's that kind of thing. But I
feel like you guys have like H.G. Wells kind of hardwired into your DNA a little bit. So,
Alien. It reminded me a lot of Bendis' latest run. Was it on Action Comics where Jor-El obviously was recounting what happened to him? So at the end of when Krypton was destroyed, obviously Dr. Manhattan. Was it Dr. Manhattan? Spoilers, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that was before Bendis.
So he plucked him out of that time and put him on Earth, and Jor-El saw what the harshness and the harsh reality of Earth. So he had a completely different experience to what Cal did, Clark. That's what sort of twisted him and turned him into this different being altogether. So that reminded me a lot of that.
Because with the Bendis run, that's when I started, because obviously I collected comics and I had comics for years before that, but that's when I really started reading the current run, and that's where I jumped on. So it was at the beginning of that. So I just assumed that I didn't know the backstory of that Jor-El, because I knew he was completely different to what we were used to, but I didn't know that's why.
That was just
was that the Mr. Oz run? I can't remember what the run was called though, but it was like a 4-issue, and it had the lenticular covers to go with it.
Those were awesome.
Oh yeah, I have those. I just haven't read them.
Yeah,
just displayed.
I think that was Victor Bogdanovich's artwork in it. Muy bien, beautiful. So that
Yeah,
reminded me a lot of Morgan's story arc when he reached Earth.
Oh yeah, Morgan Edge. Yeah.
I also thought, and this is probably just going out on a complete whim, but obviously Jonathan is, well, we already know that he's feeling left out because he hasn't got superpowers and he feels helpless. Could they use this machine to give him the powers? Could he be the other Superboy? Because he's kind of got the mentality of, well, a little bit of Connor Kent more than Jordan.
Well, every time. Well, that could be actually, yeah. That you're right. That could be. But anytime Jonathan opens his mouth, I'm like, that's Superman's real son. Like,
Yeah.
like he's standing up for people. He's trying to do the right thing all the time.
Yeah.
And he's standing up to his grandpa. And then you just have Jordan, who's just over there doing who knows what. And I'm just like, yeah, Jonathan, let's
yeah, because I'm with you on that one. I'd much prefer Jordan. Much prefer Jonathan in. Yeah, he's just more grounded, isn't he? Even though at the start he was the popular one and didn't really get bullied or anything, he seems to have that moral ground that his dad does. So yeah, it would be nice to see him get at least one power. Maybe he'll fly and the other one won't, but I don't know. Just one power at least. But yeah, I can't. I'll go on.
I'm still angling for a heel turn, a good old-fashioned wrestling heel turn. I want one son to go bad. I think that is fresh ground we have never trod on.
Mm-hmm.
That would be awesome to me. I know it was kind of spit a little bit in the face of Superman and his values, because both boys have been raised by the same man. But, nature, nurture, being raised in an environment, imagine being the have-not with all these haves.
Well, and you also have, I thought you meant Jordan do the heel turn. That's what I want, because
either one, really.
He's the most likely, I think.
And actually, that does happen in the John Byrne Generations miniseries, where Superman has 2 kids and one of them.
Oh, I'm up for that then.
You should check it out. That's a great series. And
possibly then, yeah.
Yeah, so I would like that.
So there is precedent for it.
Yes, there is.
Oh, then I'm game. I think that would be tremendous. I think that's just what this show needs.
Yeah.
Treading new ground, and it's relatable as well, isn't it? I mean, the haves and the have-nots growing up, and you're the only one left out. Of course, that's going to do something to you.
Well, this is it as well. I don't think it's testament to sort of Clark bringing them up, how he's brought them up, because they were brought up in completely different worlds. So he was obviously brought up in Smallville. They were brought up in Metropolis. So
of course,
and in a different time as well. So I think.
Well, then you can throw in the topic of mental illness, because we've established that Jordan has some sort of anxiety thing going on.
Yeah.
And so that definitely affects your nature nurture argument.
Yeah. I think it's probably a bit too late in the series to introduce it now, but I think maybe they'll tease it at the end, because we know it's coming back for series 2. So maybe that's what the second one will be all about. Who knows? But yeah, I can't fault this episode, the series in general. The effects in this episode were particularly great. I really liked the bit where the people were brainwashed when they were turning Kryptonian and they all just flew off. That was really so cool.
Yeah.
And you saw Superman sort of flying through the city, like really close to everyone. I thought that was pretty good as well. Yeah. Really well done. But yeah, anything else to say on those 2?
Just that, and I put this in my review, I am over using the possession.
Oh trope.
Yeah. So, look, where it's a great budget saving move. We need another person. Let's just have them possess one of our main cast members so that they can act as that person. And they just did it to death in Smallville, and they've done it in CW. And like I said in my review, if we can't just hire a new actor, let's just tell a different story. Because I'm over it.
Yeah. I see what you mean, and it is done a lot. But in this particular case, I think it made sense for it to be Lana because, well, there was the bit where Superman and Lois didn't. There was that moment where they didn't want her to do it because of how close they were. And we kind of got to know her family, and we know that that's at stake because they don't know if it's actually going to work or not. So I think it made sense in this case, but yeah, definitely overdone in Smallville. And I can't remember when it was done with. I know Rain in Supergirl was that kind of thing.
Yeah, I can't remember. I thought it happened.
Would we call the episode in Smallville? I think the episode was called. I can't remember what the episode was called now, but when Clark turns on Lex during the baby shower.
I don't remember.
I think the episode was called Crimson, and he's under. I think he's under red kryptonite. Are we calling that possession?
Yeah,
and he throws the rattle.
No, I would call possession when another character's personality overrides you. Like so.
Oh, thank goodness for me, because that was my favorite episode.
Well, Lex gets overtaken by Zod.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lana gets overtaken by like a witch from the past.
Yep.
Lois gets overtaken by Feora or
yes. That's the one I've just watched actually.
Jonathan becomes Jor-El at one point, so it's just like, stop, please.
On the Smallville front, I will say their Bizarro was awful. Like, I couldn't even.
The sun hits his face, and then he turns like crackly just for a second.
Oh yeah.
God, I didn't even looking at him. I didn't even know it was Bizarro until they said. But I did like the way that they switched the colors that he was wearing because Clark wears a red shirt and a red jacket, blue
t-shirt,
and he wore the opposite, which was pretty clever.
I think I did like though the way he entered. Didn't he say sort of like did someone ask him how he's feeling, and he's like, I'm feeling a little bizarre.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's how they left it in the episode before, and I was all over that. I loved that.
Tasman, have you gotten to the Smallville parts with Doomsday yet?
No.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh no, I have.
Okay, because when you get to like the later seasons, they stop. Well, they don't stop it altogether, but they dial it back, doing like if you squint, it almost looks like the character. Like Doomsday, he looks like Doomsday, and then like they have some other superheroes come in, and they're just like, you know what? Let's just put the costume on them, and it looks fantastic. And then, but then you have Darkseid and the New Gods, and it's just the worst thing ever.
Okay.
And so,
I think with the Doomsday thing, where I've got to is like, you've only seen his shadow. You haven't actually seen him yet. I think the one that I watched is when Chloe and Jimmy get married. Well, try to get married. So that's the one that I've watched last.
But didn't Doomsday look good in Krypton though?
Oh yeah.
That show. I think we talked about that not long ago.
Krypton looked good.
I think we always bring Krypton up in every episode, but it's so good.
every character looked great in that. Colin Salmon as Zod.
Oh, love
genius.
Him. I love him anyway. He's great.
Genius.
All right. Okay. We'll. It's going to be quite a long episode because we've been talking about Superman and Lois for God knows how long, and obviously all the Supergirl news at the beginning. But we'll start with the comics, and we'll start with a bit of a catch up from you, Evan, on Super Sons and Suicide Squad, because you noticed that they were fairly Superboy heavy.
Yes. So obviously Super Sons is, and reading Super Sons fills me with great joy and great frustration because it's so good. And the relationship between a young John and a young Robin is so much better. No matter how many times you say they basically have the same relationship. No, they don't. It's not the same. It's so much better. Please, make it a good story, make it make sense in continuity, pay homage to what has come before, but put it back. Put it back. But in the meantime, this is a good supplement. And it's the same as it ever was, and
Yeah.
it's great. And they're doing a fun time travel story in this one. It's very interesting because it's got magic and stuff, and what's happening is people in sorcerers in the past are sending basically these magic bullets through time that are going to kill every member of the Justice League. And the Super Sons have this magic scroll that tells them who's next on the hit list, and they have to they have to stop it from happening, and they cannot tell the target, or else the target will die instantaneously.
I was going to say, why don't they just get, like, if you got something that serious, you just give it to Superman and be like, Dad, sort this out.
Yeah, so they're having to save each of the Justice League members covertly, and so like without the Justice League person knowing. And one of the best ones so far is when they save Hawkgirl, they just knock her out.
But Damien enjoyed that, right?
Yeah, and then she and then at the end of the issue, she like bursts back out of the room. She's like, "What are you guys doing?" Because she doesn't know they saved her life. So it's freaking great. And then Suicide Squad, I'm sticking with that as long as Connor Kent's in it. I'm just gonna follow Connor Kent to whatever title he in.
Yeah.
It looks like he's gonna go to Teen Titans Academy next. And Suicide Squad has already crossed over with Teen Titans Academy. So the story so far is they've broken Superboy out of Arkham Asylum, where he was being held against his will. And they don't explain the transition between the last time we saw him, which was in the Kent farm living with Mom and Pa Kent, but now he's in the Suicide Squad and he can't get out. He's got the thing in his neck to blow him up. And so
how do they get that in?
Don't know. And some of his memories are missing as well. And so they think Amanda Waller might have done something to his memories. The crossover with Teen Titans Academy was very interesting. There's a new speedster in Teen Titans Academy who I love because it's a speedster who doesn't have legs. She's a paraplegic.
Wow.
That's great.
She's got those cool like prosthetics that are like bouncy. You know what I'm saying?
Blades.
I've seen pictures of them.
Yeah, so cool. Such a cool character. And so yeah, I'm following that currently. It looks like Superboy's lost some memories, and they're going to figure out what and how.
So
when you just quickly, when you said, Evan, about sending the bullets back through time, for some reason I instantly got taken back to Starship Troopers when the bugs from Klendathu were sending asteroids over to Earth.
I thought you were going to say either Final Crisis or the Captain America where he died and came back to life.
No, Starship Troopers.
Fair enough. But yeah, going forward, we'll be covering those issues on the site, as well as the upcoming 7-issue miniseries titled Titans United, which will coincide with Titan Series 3 on, I've put Netflix, but it's obviously HBO Max. But there isn't that much news on that one yet, but we just know that it's going to be written by Cavan Scott with art by Jose Luis and inks by Jonas Trindade. But yeah, I'm going to sort of jump on Super Sons because that sounds really good. Suicide Squad, I don't know, it kind of annoys me sometimes when they put a character in for just a few issues, and then, you know what I mean, it's kind of just trying to balance. And like, we didn't even know he was in Suicide Squad until, well, we saw that he was on the cover, I guess, but it wasn't officially announced. And like I say, we don't know the transition between. But yeah, so Justice League Last Ride issue 2. Have you read this one yet?
I have, yes.
What did you think?
Yeah, loved it. I thought the cover was great, with Diana sporting her Kingdom Come / Wonder Woman 1984 attire. Nice to see that being used again, because I don't think it's used an awful lot, if ever. I don't think she ever resorts to using it. But I really enjoyed that. Anytime Apocalypse attacks Earth, I'm game. I love that trope. I mean, Justice League Origin, you relied heavily on Apocalypse attacking Earth. I loved it. It brought the Justice League together. And this issue was good. I really liked the dichotomy and the dynamics between some of the characters. Wally is particularly interesting because he's kind of bringing the jokes, trying to bring the jovialness, but this is clearly quite a damaged league.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a really fun issue. I like Lobo. He's just freaking awesome.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, he's great in it. He's antagonistic. He's, you know, biting the hand that feeds, essentially, right to the very end. It was a good issue. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. How about you, Evan?
I liked it too. I love the flashbacks because half the issue is a flashback
Yeah.
to what went on before, and it's leading up to the reveal of what caused the schism between Batman and Superman. So I really liked all that. Yeah, like you were saying, the battle, and they're on Apokolips, they're on Earth,
Yeah.
Apokolips is boom tubing bombs onto the planet, which is something we've never seen before. At least I've never seen.
Dastardly.
Yeah, and so it's like it's one of those things where, like in Star Wars, The Last Jedi, where they hyperdrive through that ship, and it's like, why haven't we been doing this like for the past 60 years? It's one of those things. But, yeah, good idea.
Yeah, but like I say, it's still not clear what went wrong between them. I'm being sort of drip fed that information. I think that format is gonna continue, like the flashback in the now kind of thing, to tell the rest of the story, which I quite like. But I've got a feeling it's to do with Superman not being able to focus on a mission, because we don't see it in the flashback bit, but in the present bit, I can't remember who he's with. I think it's Green Lantern, and they're doing some sort of check-in in space, and then he's talking to him, and then he just hears something else happening and just goes off to save them. And I don't know, I thought there was a bit of a riff there, so I think it might be leading to something to do with that, because that's Superman's like weakness, I think, the fact that he can't ignore people that need help. So it'd be interesting to see if that is what the problem is, because it's also what makes him Superman.
Agreed, because I mean, in this issue, they're trying to stay stealthy, aren't they? They're trying to stay off the grid, keeping Lobo, you know, safe and secure, and there's, you know, and then automatically Superman goes off and making a lot of noise and racket over there, saving a big ship from a black hole. So, yeah, I definitely think you're on something there. Tasman, I'm not mistaken, but you said this is only 3 issues, right?
No, I think I'm wrong. I did say it was. There was when I looked when it first came out on CLZ Comics, which is where you can put all the comics that you've got, so you make sure you haven't got it twice. They only listed 3, but I'm pretty sure it's 7. I think it's 7 issues.
Oh, okay. So when I was reading it, I was thinking like, oh, there feels like there's more here. To come. So cool. That's great. You know, Chip Zdarsky is one of my favorite writers. I'm a big fan of his on Daredevil, so bring it. 7, 8, 12, 16. I mean, it's good little run.
I really like his portrayal of Wonder Woman as well. I think she's very badass.
Warrior.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I liked seeing the Golden Eagle Wonder Woman thing. It's cool. It's always cool to see, because, like I say, we don't see that often. But I think since the film now, it's going to just get used and used. I think it's going to be more popular than ever, because she only brings it out when she really needs it.
Yeah.
I think since Wonder Woman 84, well, we saw it in that, we've seen it here now, and I'm pretty sure I've seen other bits, other comics with it in as well. So I think it's going to be possibly overused at some point. But yeah, I'm very impressed with this series so far. You can see the clear difference in the Justice League of how they were and how they are now in terms of how they interact with each other, which is quite cleverly done by Chip Zdarsky. And yeah, his portrayals are on point, and I think that's hard to manage considering how many different characters there are in this. Well, just these 2 issues. So
Agreed.
Very good. The artwork's by Miguel Mendonca with colours by Enrica I can't do that. I can't say that lady's name. Angiolini.
You have to. You are the best at doing this.
She's the same. It's the same one that I messed up with last time, but I practiced and I still couldn't.
I don't recall you messing up ever with any. I always think you get them so on point. So,
well, that's my interpretation of it. I'm probably completely wrong. But yeah, despite how many characters are involved, like Zdarsky's portrayals, I think they capture their essence perfectly together. And my personal highlight in terms of artwork was Wonder Woman's Golden Eagle armor in action, because that bit was just epic. On to Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow issue 1. So Ashley did the review, so I'll let you start with what you thought.
Yeah, I didn't. It's a mixed bag. It's a game of two halves for sure. It felt to me at first like a create your own book or like an image title. They're really good at just letting the creative team just like really create something unique and individual. So this is basically Supergirl. We find this young girl by the name of, I think it's Ruthie. I'm not 100% sure of her first name. It's Ruthie. I'm going to go with.
I would have said Ruthier.
Ruthier is perfect. Ruthier. It's your typical revenge kind of story. Her father has been callously murdered by one of the king's knights, let's say, and she goes on a quest to revenge him. And she goes to the local town, and she goes to this local kind of barbarian kind of fella and wants his services, and he's changing all the layouts and the parameters of what she wants. Supergirl intervenes, and I think by the end of the issue, she will take on the job. So this is a weird one for me. This is very uncharacteristic of Kara. She's acting very uncharacteristic in it. She's only introduced halfway through. The environment that they're in is very much reminiscent of kind of like the Hyborian age, where you would find Conan. And I say that in terms of the weaponry, the architecture, the clothing, everything is very kind of that period, until about halfway through, when they start including some more exotic plants and animal life, which then leads me to think it's more like Edgar Rice Burroughs' Warlords of Mars. So that's by no means a bad thing. You've got these really two awesome franchises in sort of Warlords of Mars, John Carter, Deja Torres, and then you've got the Hyborian age, Conan and the Adventurer. So these two worlds mashed together, and a good old-fashioned spaghetti western kind of revenge thriller in the middle. So it definitely captures a lot of. Oh God, I've gone wrong. Hang on. Sorry.
Video has cut out for those of you listening.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Oh, no.
You can still hear you though, Ashley, so carry on. There we go.
So sorry about that. I was just getting so animated. So yeah, you've got these two great franchises, a spaghetti western kind of revenge thriller in the middle of it. And Kara is kind of just there.
Yeah.
Kara is just kind of there. So I did love that. I feel like if Tom King had put the amount of effort into Ruthier's character as he did, if he put the amount of time with Ruthie's character as he did with Kara, I think we would have gone on to something awesome. But he didn't. But he'll obviously mind more of her in the time to come. So
yeah,
that's my take.
What about you, Evan?
So we were in the text message chat that we all have, and me and Ashley were kind of bonding over that. We're not like some of Tom King's stuff is not our bag of chips.
No,
and
agreed.
So I would, and one of the reasons for that is like when he's writing, he loves narration, man. Like narration is like his bread and butter, and most of the time it's just very philosophical, he's got lots of poetry in there. It's almost not talking about the story. It's like subtext of the story, but in very poetic, and it's just not my thing. And I like skip all the narration boxes when I'm reading his stuff. The only time I've ever liked it was in the Vision series he did, which was very good. And another thing is I feel like he does, when I'm reading his Superman or Batman or any of their supporting cast, he doesn't capture their voice for me. I feel like it's not them, and it's somebody trying to be them but not. And so when I read this, and Ashley was saying, the narration there's a lot of it, and so I was like, okay, here we go again. And so then I started reading it. I love this.
Cool.
And I think there's a couple reasons. One is because the world that we're set in is so removed that the narration, he's really going for like a very different style of language, like that the character does feel very medieval and very fantasy world. And she's the one doing all the narration, and it's a personal narration. It's very much like reading a novel. And so I really like that. There was no poetry. There was no waxing philosophic. It's all just this girl like talking about her adventure and her story.
Yeah.
And then Supergirl, when she comes in, I kind of like this. It's kind of like a drunken master kind of story, because she was drunk. Where this character's on a quest, and then you meet this very unlikely person that is going to be that person you need, and is actually way more powerful than you think they are, and they're going to be able to help you accomplish your quest. And so I thought it was very good. And as far as not being characteristic of Supergirl has been all over the place, personality wise, since they brought her back in like 2005. And half of that time she has been like this drunken loner angsty person. So I feel like it works. I don't know.
Yeah. I felt like since the whole sort of Bendis has run, especially in Action Comics, where she seems to really embedded herself back in with the family.
Yeah.
And I just found that a bit sort of like jarring that she's now on this planet alone. I will add the whole getting drunk thing. She is under a red sun.
Yes.
That's why she's drunk.
Yeah.
And also that causes some of the action.
Yeah. And
the action obviously gets quite bloody.
Yeah.
Because of that. So I just wanted to point that out. She's under a red sun, so
yeah. But this is completely, well, I know she's a very different character in Action Comics, but this is nothing to do with that, is it? It's like a standalone thing. So I think the fact that he's taken it on a different direction, I like that, rather than having the same thing across two different titles.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Evan?
Well, two things. He's known for taking, characters, and then their personalities are completely different, like in the Mr. Miracle and in the Adam Strange run that he's currently doing. It's like these aren't the characters we know from continuity. And secondly, Tasman and listeners, you're gonna hate me, but I thought this wasn't continuity, and when they shot Krypto and he doesn't get up again, I was like,
Evan, I'm going to boot you out of this conversation now. Bear with me. How dare you?
I know. I don't like the Super Pets. I'm like, they've done it. I mean, they got rid of Kandor. They can get rid of Krypto if we.
No, never.
I liked Kandor, by the way. I wasn't happy to see it go, but if they did that, it could be.
Yeah, I thought it was a really strong opener from Tom King. Supergirl wasn't in it as much as I would have liked, considering it is her comic. But I think that kind of opener was needed to really set the scene and set the storyline. So it makes sense. But I think obviously going forward, Tom King is going to focus a lot more on Supergirl now that we know what's going on. I really like the cover and the artwork, which is by Bilquis Evely.
Yes, and she's great. I followed her for a little bit by accident, because she did some fan art for my favorite novel, which is Until We Have Faces by C.S. Lewis. She did some awesome fan art on her DeviantArt, and I found her that way. And she let us use the fan art in the episode of our Strangers and Aliens podcast that we.
Oh, nice.
That was a couple years ago, so it's pretty cool to see her. Cool mainstream book.
Yeah, her artwork is it's so unique. Like it's almost not suitable for comics because it's so good. It like, you know what I mean? It's like
it's very like a fantasy illustration sort of style.
Yeah. But I like that it is in this comic because it really works with the tone as well, and the sort of the series so far of what we know. So I think, well, to be honest, you've pretty much said all the notes that I was going to say. But yeah, so the moment where they shot Krypto, I was not having that. I almost threw because I was reading on my phone, reading on Box, and yeah, I almost threw my phone across the room because, nah, you don't need to do that to a poor little dog. It's just rude. But yeah, the action was really good. The moment where we first gone.
Can I bring up that in the Vision series, Tom King kills the dog? I'm just gonna leave that there.
I can watch a film and watch. It sounds really morbid, but I can watch a film and watch hundreds of people getting killed. But if it's a dog that gets killed, I'm done. That's it. It's just, I don't know. It's just, they're so sweet. Why would you want to do it? But anyway, the moment where we first see Supergirl and she's drunk and starts, well, she doesn't start the fight, but she has a fight with the sort of barbarian looking guy. That reminded me instantly of Indiana Jones, and I can't remember the character's name. I can't think of her name, but she's like doing shots of tequila, having like a drink in war, and then all of a sudden she's fine and she can fight and still hold herself. And it just reminded me of that, which I quite like, because it, yeah, like I say, this series is kind of like a fantasy medieval kind of thing, and it's just bringing loads of different genres together, and they're all genres that I love. So I think it's going to be good. But I think, yeah, she's very different to what we've seen in other comics and stuff as well. But I think she was very relatable in this one. And even though she does still live by the ideals of like Superman and stuff, because she kind of says, that's not how I roll, because obviously this girl wants Supergirl to revenge her father by killing the person that killed him. But this just kind of goes to show that she realizes that things aren't always quite as simple as that. It's not as black and white as it might be to Superman. Go on.
I liked how I got the opposite of that from when the girl is yelling at Supergirl, and it's like, it's all great to talk about your platitudes of don't kill anybody when you haven't lost anybody like I have. And she doesn't know Supergirl's lost not only her dad, but her mom and her entire planet. And so, and it's nice that they put that in the narration. Like, I didn't know that when I said that to her. And it's neat to see that Supergirl is still sticking by her guns, even though she's gone.
Yeah, definitely. And it'd be interesting because obviously this girl, I think what's going to happen is Supergirl's going to kind of have an influence on this girl, and maybe she won't want that. I think they'll catch the guy. I can't remember his name, but I don't think they'll execute him as she wants. I think maybe they'll put him to justice like Superman would, kind of thing, which is quite nice. Yeah, I just think it's Tom King's developed a really good idea here, and I hope it continues this way with a bit more Kara involved and Krypto, of course. Go on.
Like I said, I think the reason I like this so much is because the main character isn't Supergirl, at least not in this issue. It's the other girl, and Supergirl is just, and that, because that's the main voice we're hearing, and it's very funny because she's never seen a spaceship, so she's like, oh, this is cool, and she thinks that Supergirl's supersuit is her underwear because it was underneath her other clothes. She's like, why are you still in your underwear?
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, that bit made me laugh. It's also great to see like a female character be in the center of a story like this, because when you think of like medieval things, like, I don't know, when she's drunk and stuff, it kind of reminds me of like The Witcher kind of thing. And obviously, all the portrayals of that kind of thing we're used to seeing it be men, and it's quite nice to see it as a woman, and some of the things that she says, it's just really good. I'm enjoying it. And I also love the moment where she gets shot, and then Krypto gets shot, and then that's when she loses her rag. I was going to say something else then, but she just rips the arrows out of herself and then beats the crap out of the guys that are responsible, even though they sadly do get away.
Yeah, and she gives a little speech about how, like, I may be under the red sun, but I'm still Supergirl.
Yeah.
And even though your arrows hit me, you think they're going to stop me? Well, they penetrated the skin and went a couple of inches into your chest cavity. Like, I feel like that's going to slow you down no matter, if they've actually gone in, you're bleeding profusely. I don't know.
And they pretty much got her right in the chest, isn't it? Like right in the
It
heart.
did get bloody. It got bloody though, didn't it? Because I mean, she's actually walking around with arrows in her. You know,
Yeah.
the emblem is covered in blood as well. She catches the blade in her hand.
Mhm.
So they don't. That's as much, I think that's probably the most blood I've seen in a Superman book that isn't like a Black Label title.
Yeah.
So yeah, but they're definitely pushing the envelope, I think.
Very good, very good. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes next. On to Superman Red and Blue issue 4. So, first of all, out of the 3 covers, I loved the cover by Walter Simonson. It took me straight back to the 90s because they tend to use like the environment to spell out the title, which is very clever. Superman's obviously written in, I think it was rock or something like that. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
I like this one. This one's my favorite.
Yes, that one is very cool. I can't remember. I didn't write the name of the artist down, but I can't remember. But it's they're all good covers, and I think there's a clear weaker one. But
is that the Bizarro and the Superman?
Yes, the John Romita Jr. one. It's good, but it's not as good as the other 2.
Yeah, I think they're all 3 very strong.
Yeah.
So the first story is titled Namparus, and is written by Mark Waid with art by Audrey Mark and colours by Jordi Belair. So in this story, the tables are turned as Superman pays a visit to the 5th dimension to give Mr. Mxyzptlk a taste of his own medicine. I love this story. Loved it.
So good.
Yeah. As I said before, he's one of my all-time favorite Superman villains, and anytime we get to see him back in the pages of a comic, I'm happy. I like the concept of it as well. So obviously the table's turned where Superman's being the hindrance to him, whereas obviously we're usually used to seeing it the other way around. That was quite cool. And even though, well, despite all of the nuisance that he's caused to Superman in the past, he still does like a little sweet gesture at the end, which is quite sweet.
Yeah. I love when we get to see Mr. Mxyzptlk's wife. It's different. I haven't actually read much of her in the comic books, but she appears quite prominently in the animated series, and she's very funny in the animated series because as weird and kooky as Mixie is, she is just very straightforward and very serious, and she only likes him for like his body. Like she's just in love with him as a person and just wants him to be with her all the time. She's not interested in pranks or anything like that. And I just think it's way funnier that way. Like she's just into him. But it was good here because she's like, you didn't prank me. I can't be with him.
Yeah. It took me a while to figure out what was going on there. I was like, what? But the artwork as well by Audrey Mark and Jordi Belair was great. It was really unique, and I liked the sort of pastel-y look to it. That was really good. It sort of made it look classic, even though it's obviously a new story. And it was obviously a bit cartoonistic, but I think with a character like Mixie, it has to be. What did you think, Ashley?
Yeah, when I was reading it, the only thing I was thinking was, this is going to be Tasman's favourite issue. This is going to be Tasman's favourite issue or segment.
I'll tell you now that it's not my favourite story of the issue.
Nice. Okay.
But
no, I really enjoyed this. Just to go back a bit, one of the last runs on Superman that I read with Mixie in was, Evan, I think you need to help me out here. It's the Rebirth run where they kind of...
that was Superman Reborn?
Yes, that was the last time I saw
Mr. Oz.
Yep. Yeah, that was the last Mixie kind of run, and that was very, very heavy going for him. That was sort of like real, that was quite serious. There was a lot of like real deadly ramifications in play there. A lot of serious stuff. This was really nice because this is the time I'd seen him since, and just to see him in a more playful, kind of whimsical 50s environment.
That's where he belongs, isn't it? That's his
exactly. Causing mischief, and I just felt that I enjoyed that. Seeing him back in that kind of playful environment, and the artwork really reminded me of Peanuts.
Yeah.
So that kind of that kind of childlike, playful kind of environment. So that's what I got from this one. So I really enjoyed it as well. Yeah. nice 50s whimsical feel.
Definitely. Anything else to say on that one?
They're using the red color for the skin tone again.
Faux pas.
I don't know. I think it's clever when they do that, because it's kind of, they're still using the red, but I guess they're mixing it with other colors to make it lighter, I guess. But I don't know. The second story is titled Prospect of Tomorrow and is written and illustrated by Francis Manapul. This one was quite sweet, and with an even sweeter ending as Superman embarks on a journey alone for a search for, well, we don't really know until the end who he's searching for or what he's searching for. But I have to say, in terms of artwork, this is my favorite artwork in the issue. It's incredible. Yeah, I saw him share teasers on social media, and even out of context, they were incredible. And now that they make more sense, they're even better. What did you guys think?
Well, Francis Manapul, I think, is one of the, like, I think for a long time now. Well, I wasn't going to say he's like a young gun at DC, but I mean, he's been going for quite a few years now. He was integral in the Flash reboot from the New 52. So he's just a great storyteller. He's definitely, over the years, developed into a writer, artist. He normally writes his own stuff as well now, as doing the artwork. And he's just a beautiful storyteller. The way he uses his panels.
Yeah, I didn't know that he wrote stories as well as doing the artwork. So this was my first introduction to him as a writer, because I know he did quite a few variant covers for, I can't remember whether it was Superman or Action Comics. Earlier in, I think it was last year actually.
He done that beautiful New Year's Eve one, if you recall.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah. But yeah, I didn't know that he was a writer, and yeah, I'd be more than happy to see more.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed this. Again, like Superman in this came across as sort of very thoughtful. Yeah, it's a hard one really to describe. I was just taken by the artwork more than anything else.
Same.
It was just a really beautiful story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't care for the story, actually. I thought it was weird, especially with the two different robots. But the art is the best art. Like, well, in my opinion, I loved the look of this, and it was fantastic.
Yeah. I didn't, when I was reading it, I didn't really know where the story was going in terms of like what are they searching for, and obviously we find out at the end that it's Bizarro, which seemed like a bit of an unlikely rescue, but I liked that.
A very sympathetic character, though, isn't he? He can be a very sympathetic character.
This is it. Like, I like that Lois pointed out in the story that no problem is too big or too small for him to tackle, and I think this was a good way to kind of showcase that. And I didn't know where it was going to start off with, but once we saw it at the end, it made a lot of sense. But yeah,
and is Bizarro a villain? Would you like class Bizarro as one of Superman's rogues? I think that's also a question that I felt was like teased in the story as well. Like, is he a rogue, or is he more like a sympathetic Frankenstein's monster kind of character?
I don't class him as a villain personally.
Yeah, I wouldn't say villain, but definitely a menace.
Yeah.
An annoyance.
Yeah, he is, because even though he means to do right, he kind of makes problems worse.
Yeah. And he can be manipulated and used.
Yes, and cause harm. Like there was that story in the run previous to Bendis where all of Bizarro World opens up and they try to take over, the real. Sometimes it's sometimes he's annoying, sometimes he really is a menace, but I don't think he's ever a straight up villain, at least not his own.
Yeah, definitely. The third story is titled A Little is a Lot and is written by Robert Vanzetti with art by Elisa Martinez and colors by Emilio Lopez. This one was my favorite. It was one of the most simplistic of stories that just showcased how much Clark's upbringing influenced who he is today. And I think even though it was a simple story, and something that we've probably seen before, or something along the lines, I don't know, it just rung out to me. And yeah, I'm a big fan of Bendis's take on Superman in general anyway, because from the Man of Tomorrow we've experienced his portrayal of Superman, and it just reminded me why. I think it's a nice message that a lot of people can relate to. Like sometimes people, I don't know, some people set out to do all these charity things, and you might feel hesitant to help or to give because you feel like you can't, or you can't afford it, and because you don't want to be seen to be given too little or too much. And yeah, it just goes to show that, like, a little is a lot, depending on your circumstance.
Yeah, I mean, Vendetti for me, he gets it. He gets it, and I am so grateful to Robert Vendetti as well, actually, because during COVID, his run on Superman Man of Tomorrow was the first new comics I'd read, after COVID or the pandemic or the first lockdown, whatever you want to call it. That was the first sort of exposure to new material that I had read in a long time. And I was like so grateful to him for that, because I mean, his stories in that particular run was so good, and I'm glad to see they're being collected in a nice hardback edition.
Yeah.
And he just gets it. He gets the character. He gets it. He is so good at telling a compelling story with a start, middle, and end within one issue, and that's very hard sometimes.
Well, in this one, it's like 5 pages.
Pages. Exactly, pages. So Vendetti, he really he gets it, and I would love to get him on the show at some point.
Well, your prayers may be answered. So the wrong way around then. Evan, what did you think?
This one was okay. I love the artwork. The story was okay. I definitely like anytime Clark is talking with Pa Kent. More Pa Kent is all we need. It's so good. The biggest, one of the glaring things was at the payoff to the story where Superman's trying to hold up the overpass and the people prop it up for him. Oh. Superman would never let that happen. Like, all those people could easily die. Like, it'd be crushed.
I loved that moment. That moment really reminded me of, the first Spider-Man movie where all the people start throwing the cans and rubbish at Green Goblin.
Yeah.
That reminded me of that.
Well, and we've seen multiple stories in this series where people save Superman.
I love that.
And it's great, but I just thought this one was implausible, because I don't feel like the people would be able to lift those steel beams, and the things they would be able to lift wouldn't be able to prop up the overpass.
Yeah.
And
agreed.
Just fall and kill everybody, and I think Superman would rather just let the thing fall and fix it later than try to hold it up and have those people be put in danger.
Yeah,
I guess.
I wish they would have done a different way of saving him, but
yeah. I think in terms of the artwork, there were moments where Venditti sort of allowed the artwork to speak for itself. I think there was maybe 1.5 pages of just artwork, no text on it, and it just let the story really speak for itself. Like I said,
I love it. I love it when a writer has a lot of what's the word? A lot of they believe in their colleague enough to tell the story. I love that.
Yeah,
I think that's great.
Yeah, I liked it. I really like the textures used for the shading, because it's kind of like cross-hatched quite a lot, which I don't know why, but I always love cross-hatch. Because I used to do, when I used to do art at college, I always used to cross-hatch everything, so it's got a special place in my heart, which sounds a bit weird. On to the fourth story, which is titled For the Man Who Has Nothing, and is written by Michael W. Conrad with art by Cully Hamner. So this was a fun story as well. I thought it was weird that we were seeing Bizarro again, even though we've kind of seen him already in this issue. Obviously, it's a different story. At first, I was not having any of it. Like the portrayal of Superman, where he gives him, like, what does it say? It's Bizarro's birthday, basically, in this one, and Superman gives him a gift, and it's, what does it say on it?
The mirror that says cheap copy.
Yeah, and obviously Bizarro gets upset, and I was like, damn, Superman would not do that. But yeah, I thought it was completely off, and then I realized what was going on, which made sense. Yeah, it was a nice payoff and a nice portrayal of Bizarro, I thought, and I think it captured him perfectly. I admit the artwork made him look terrifying at times. He was quite scary in this. But yeah, like the previous story, this one kind of goes a long way to say that this one says that small gestures go a long way, and I like that Superman kind of took the time to do that and go and wish Bizarro a happy birthday, considering they're not exactly friends, but like I say, they're not exactly villains either.
So this one I like this one. This one has like, it's pretty much all narration, and it's that kind of narration I was talking about with Tom King, where it's like not really talking about the story, but it's like waxing philosophic, and it's like, okay. I stopped reading the narration boxes halfway through.
Look at the pictures.
But the pictures, you don't even need the narration.
Yeah,
the pictures, the story all by itself. And you know, I liked it, then I didn't like it, then I liked it more. And the reason was because I thought it was just going to be a sweet story about the Justice League genuinely celebrating Bizarro's birthday, and which would be a very nice thing to do. And especially when Wonder Woman gives him a kiss on the cheek, and and everybody's, you know, doing nice things for him. I thought that was great. We could have just left it there. Then when he gives him the present that says the cheap copy on it, I still think it's a sweet gesture, because Bizarro takes everything to be the opposite. So when it says cheap copy, he would have read it as genuine article, you know, or like you're the real deal. And so I'm like, oh, this is great. But then he throws it away. I'm like, okay, wait. No, he didn't. That didn't mean that.
Yeah.
He decided in this moment to read things the right way, how they're supposed to be, conveniently. And then we realize it's Mr. Mxyzptlk. And then that's the exact plot of a Superman the Animated Series episode. And I'm not sure if it's been in another comic, but there's an episode where Mixie goes to Bizarro's house and tricks him into causing, you know, mayhem.
Oh, okay.
And so I thought, okay, well, they're doing that. But then at the end, when Superman comes and gives him the real present, I was like, okay, well, you know, it's kind of the exact ending that we could have had at the beginning if we just stopped it before it was a trick, you know, like, so yeah. I have mixed emotions. I liked parts of it, and I didn't like other parts of it. I liked the art. At the end, though, the message and the sentiment is sweet, and I like that.
Yeah. But yeah, don't you think Bizarro's terrifying in this?
I thought that's what he was supposed to be. I think he's supposed to be this kind of sympathetic Frankenstein's monster kind of character. No judge a book by its cover kind of story.
This is the most horrific I've seen him now. Like,
yeah, really? Agreed.
I think so. I'm sure there's probably more, but for me, that was took me aback a few times when you look at him.
He's pretty buff in Red Hood and the Outlaws, to be fair. He's got a beard. He's kind of got like a stylish mohawk going on. He's buff in that, so.
I haven't seen that one, but yeah.
I mean, like, Ed McGuinness's Bizarro is just Ed McGuinness's Superman with a creepy smile.
Yeah, true.
I think I have seen.
He doesn't even have like the shattered face either, does he? He's kind of just a different color.
He's just white, yeah.
I think I have seen that one. Onto the final story then. So this one's titled #Saved by Superman and is written by Rich Douek with art by Joe Quinones. I like this story. I think it is just so relevant to the times. Like, it's so relevant, and it kind of gets you thinking. And that's just what's great about this story and Superman in general, because his character, where if you do that with another character, it probably doesn't mean that much, but because it's Superman, the whole sentiment is bigger. Whilst I'm frequent with social media, I don't take part in these crazy challenges, which selfishly cause trouble and danger. And I like how Superman dealt with it here. And my favorite moment was the adorable moment when he took a selfie with the young girl. That was really sweet. And that's what Superman's all about. He's for everyone, not just for saving people's lives. He's there. Yeah. What did you guys think?
This one was my favorite one. I just really like the story idea. I thought, like you said, it's very relevant and very well executed. And I thought the writing, especially with the dialogue and stuff, is very very realistic, and like this is exactly what would happen. You know, if Superman was real, this is exactly what would happen. People
it is
all over Metropolis trying to stream him. So
very current, very contemporary. Am I right in thinking that the creator that you just said, Joe Quinones, is he on either of the new Superman or the Batman '89 runs that are coming up? You know, the continuation of the films.
I think Batman.
Because I was thinking that's going to be this is a nice little warm up for that. Because I'm really looking forward to those two runs.
Yeah, it's definitely not the Superman one because that's Wilfredo Torres. But I think it might be the Batman one. I might be wrong.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. At the very least, the covers. So I was thinking this is a real nice warm up for that to come because I'm looking forward to both of those immensely.
Yeah, me too. Well, more obviously the Superman one than the Batman one, but I'm sure they're both going to be great. But yeah, this one, I think it just showed the dark side of social media and all these stupid stunts that you see. I don't know about you guys, but I was watching Lorraine the other day, morning TV as you do, and there was a woman on there who she basically burned herself taking part in a social media stunt, and she's got like 3rd-degree burns, and now obviously she's going to be scarred for life just to try and get a few likes on social media. And it's just, this is exactly what it's all about. And yeah, just because you want to put your stamp on something, you don't have to go to such stupid lengths to do it.
Well, this reminded me not to get heavy, but this reminded me of a real life incident, and maybe this will be, if anybody out there is thinking about doing this stuff, don't do it. A guy was posting on his social media he was going to do pull-ups off the side of a skyscraper on the top of it, 15.
Right.
And practiced, but then when he got up there, he didn't take into account the oxygen level change.
Yeah.
And he couldn't get back up, and he fell off.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's like a bit similar to that guy, wasn't it, that scaled up the Shard? Was it from a few years back? Something kind of similar.
I don't know.
Guy scaled something is all I know. So yeah, Evan, I totally take what you're saying on board. Yeah, there's doing things, and there's doing things in a safe way that's not going to put yourself and others in danger, because like someone's got to come up and get you, or
yeah, exactly. And especially like wasting Superman's time as well, because he's obviously got much more important things to be doing than
I did think it was a little far-fetched at the end where he's taking the selfie with the girl and mentions like, I do hear a boom tube opening right now. I'm like, okay, well, I don't know about that. I think the boom tube would take precedence.
It was sweet. It was sweet.
Yeah.
Okay. That concludes all the comics that we needed to catch up on. But we have the other new segment called What Have You Been Reading, whereby it kind of gives us a chance to delve into some of the comics that we haven't covered on the site or the podcast, catch up on some old issues, and also discuss the issues that I've been reading as part of the Ultimate Superman reading order that I've been working on. Who wants to go first?
Go ahead, Ashley.
So yeah, I have been getting good and prepped for the new run, the Superman. Is it 78?
Yeah.
I've been getting prepped for that, and the way I've been getting prepped for that is going back and reading some Jeff Johns stuff, and I read Superman Last Son, which featured, if I'm not mistaken, Zod's child.
Yeah.
That one. I read that, and that was extremely, extremely good.
Are you gonna keep reading into the new Krypton stuff?
I am indeed, yeah. Well, I've already read all that once. I've done that whole run. But I liked this issue because there's a scene in it where the government take this young Kryptonian, and Superman loses his
mind.
Loses his cool, let's say. Loses his cool. And it reminded me a lot of the conversation we was having a few weeks back about Superman kind of losing his temper, and a Superman who kind of flips out and goes on the heel turn and whatnot. So I wanted to kind of go for that, and understandably so. Lois and Clark don't have a child at this point, and he takes to this child very, very much so. He's a kindred spirit almost. And yeah, when the government decide to take him without his knowledge, he flips the switch.
Yeah, it's basically his adopted kid at this point.
Yeah, he loves him, and I just remember this one panel where his eyes are just red. They're just the deepest, richest red. There's there's nothing else. It's just an eye socket with red in it, and it's just like, you tell this man not to be bad. You've taken his child without letting him know.
No, I haven't read that one. I'm gonna have to. Well, I'll get to it eventually, I'm sure. But it sounds good.
Yeah.
For me, I've just been continuing on my reading of the Justice League International, the Wahaha era, and I guess they call it that because they keep laughing, and that's what they say. They say Wahaha. It's very comedic, and so currently they're on an incursion mission into Apokolips to save Mr. Miracle because he was taken by an intergalactic shopping network. Who have they've tried to open trade with Apokolips, and so it's been very interesting, very funny. I also read have you guys heard of Webtoon, the app?
Yeah,
it's a little free comics app, and a lot of people put up there's a lot of manga on there, but it's all made for the web. A lot of it is just like gratuitous, weird romance stuff, and so I'm not. But I check it out every once in a while when there's a cool when there's an ad. And so I looked on there and I read through this series called Swim Lessons for a Mermaid, and it was adorable. And
cool.
If you are interested in a little cute little romance story, I would recommend that. It was very good.
I think they used to. I'm sure it was that site where they used to reply to all of the posts where I used a particular hashtag. I can't remember what the hashtag was, but I think it was like comics or something like that, or comic books. They'd obviously search for that and just send links to their site through them, like, hey, check out this. And in the end, I was just like, no.
It's been super popular, and I've heard several professional comic creators talk about it and how it's a great venue. It's very popular, and people who don't read comics are reading this and they don't realize that they're reading comics.
Yeah.
One of the guys was like, he speaks at college, and he was like, raise your hand if you read comics, and like nobody raises their hands. And then later in the semester, they're like, oh yeah, I read manga. Is that comics? He's like, yes, manga just is Japanese for comics. And like, I read Webtoon all the time. That's comics. And so, it's very interesting the different connotations that those have, and what people associate with them.
Well, yeah, I've been reading through 1956 still. This year seems to be taking me forever. It seems like I should have finished it by now, but I think the three stories that I'm going to tell you are all, well, the continuous action comic stories, because these are pretty strong at the moment, or compared to the other issues in particular. The first one is Action Comics issue 221. So in this one, Superman develops a new superpower, even though it's only temporary. So he pretty much develops the powers of Magneto, where he can manipulate metal. So he basically destroys some comets, and then the magnetism from that goes into him. It kind of works out pretty well for him at first, because he can use his new powers to stop bad guys without getting close to them. Like he pulls the car backwards with his magnetized hands, and fixes bridges and stuff like that. But then obviously it doesn't just affect him, it also affects Clark. So when they're in the Daily Planet, he's like typing on the typewriter and all the keys are stuck to his fingers and stuff like that. Which is good. It's quite funny, but then obviously Lois clicks on and she's like, why have they both got it? And then obviously causes trouble for him that way.
So whimsical. whimsical.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, every single, apart from the next one, every single issue I'm going to talk to you about features Lois being suspicious, and that's just all she's used for in that era of comics, which is a little bit annoying.
It's weird that she doesn't put it together like, both Clark and Superman are having magnetic problems.
Yeah.
Could be.
But then,
it definitely is.
Yeah, he always comes up with some stupid like excuse or reason as to, I can't remember what it is in that particular issue, but they're all like so simple, like that's unbelievable. And the fact that she's like, oh, okay, yeah, of course. Just
it's funny because like, obviously in Batman, certainly in the more like modern era, they do say that like Gordon knew. He always knew. He's a world-class detective himself. He's a commissioner for a reason. He knew, but he just, for whatever reason, just didn't say, or he believed in the cause too much.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they've not really done that with Lois yet. Kind of like said, to her, she's a Pulitzer Prize winner. Investigative journalist, maybe perhaps I knew all the time, I just didn't want to say, or didn't want to see it. Or
in Hush, Batman goes to the Daily Planet and talks about Perry White, and he's like, there's no way Perry doesn't know that Superman is Clark Kent. Like, he's just not saying anything. So I think it's interesting. I think it's different with Lois because the first time she meets Superman, he is like otherworldly and like just like apparently the hottest guy on the planet, and so like, and he's taking a special interest in you, and so like this guy is on like a whole nother like she probably put him on a whole nother mental level, and then there's just my coworker Clark, and so I could see how it would take some time for her to put two and two.
It's like a mental trapdoor that he just can't break through.
But it's like every single issue it kind of revolves.
Well, it's completely different in the 50s because it's just like,
of course,
like there's no way this is a coincidence.
I don't know, sometimes it gets a bit draining because you kind of constantly reading these excuses that Clark's making for all these they're stupid excuses as well, like, oh, the light was shining, it wasn't me, like that kind of thing. But yeah, anyway, Action Comics issue 222. So Superman stops a bomb which causes his cells to duplicate and creates another Superman who he names Superman T. There's two Supermen, exactly the same, except they each have a power missing. So one is missing X-ray vision and the other one is missing the telescopic vision. So they kind of have to team up, and they basically take patrol of Metropolis separately. So one will go as Clark Kent and one will go as Superman, but obviously they have to switch at a certain point when they need the other power. So obviously Lois gets suspicious again, but they kind of have a plan because there's two of them, which this is probably the only time where their excuse makes sense because she sees them both at the same time, kind of thing. But yeah, Superman T starts acting suspiciously, so they kind of have a bit of beef and a fight for a brief moment, which is pretty cool. But yeah, the reason behind him going a little bit suspicious and off is actually really sweet, and he makes the ultimate sacrifice because he has the telescopic vision. He can see that there's a big meteor of kryptonite coming and it would destroy Superman, so he flies up and destroys it and sacrifices himself. Which is, I don't know, it's just a cool issue. I think it's the first time we kind of see Superman, and especially when he's sort of fighting himself, because usually if you do see him fighting himself, it's like a toy that Toyman's made or something like that.
Do they explain in the comic, like, do the molecules of Superman T come back to Superman and restore his telescopic vision?
It does restore it, but it doesn't really explain. He's just like, oh, he must be gone. I've got my vision back.
That sounds great.
He leaves him a note as well, which kind of explains why or where he's gone, which, yeah, it's really good. And the third one is Action Comics 223, which, so in this one, Superman stumbles on some cosmic wreckage from Krypton and finds his dad's journal, obviously Jor-El. So this is the first issue I've read where they kind of explain why well, how and why Earth was chosen for Kal-El's
Nice.
refuge, which was pretty cool. So Jor-El researched and tested the conditions of the planet, and he made it's like an arena on Krypton which had Earth's atmosphere, so he could see that he would be able to fly and have all these extra powers and stuff, which was really cool because I don't think, well, I haven't read another comic that's done that before, and I think, I don't know. Well, you mentioned, Evan, that you sometimes think Jor-El knows too much about what happens, and I think this could be, I don't know, like it's kind of explained why.
If they ever did explain that in modern comics or any of the movies, then it would make more sense.
Yeah.
Like
I'm pretty sure there was an issue of Batman Superman actually that they do this where Jor-El, I think, has already visited Earth and has already kind of prepped Martha and Jonathan.
They definitely do that in Smallville.
Yeah, because I remember this issue because it ties in with like I think so Bruce is on a little trip into the country with Alfred, and the his car is broken down.
Yes.
And Alfred's fixing the tire, and he sees Clark playing ball with the dad, and I think Jonathan's like looking upon Jor-El is looking upon them. So I think he's already kind of.
I don't know if that's canon, but I do remember that story where because it's a Jor-El and Thomas Wayne team up story.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, the super dads.
What a gotta make a title of that.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, so obviously he tested the conditions, so he knew that his son would be more powerful, which we knew anyway, obviously. But yeah, obviously didn't quite go to plan because there wouldn't be an issue about it otherwise. So some Kryptonian crooks tried to take advantage of it, and because they overheard the conversations of his research whereby they would be more powerful on Earth than what they are on Krypton, and they saw that they would get all these extra powers, they took it on themselves to steal the technology and research and try and conquer Earth themselves. A bit like the whole General Zod thing, to sort of, it wasn't for those reasons, but because of their enhanced power set, they would have more power, more money, more whatever it is. So they took it and tried to go to Earth.
Sounds great.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, it was a strong issues, and usually most of the issues that I enjoy the most are Superboy ones from the 50s because they're just completely random, and they're quite wholesome, most of them. But these ones kind of started fleshing out the real sci-fi vibes that we get today.
That story, real quick, just reminded me of what maybe my favorite Jor-El story. It was like a little short story. I cannot remember where it was published, but it's like late 2000s, where Jor-El is bringing in like an employee of his or something, and he needs that employee to smuggle illegal parts so he can build the rocket for his son. And he's like explaining the situation to him, like, what if I told you that I needed you to do this to save a life, because everyone's life is going to be gone, and I can't help you or your family.
But you can help mine.
Yeah. Screw your son, save mine.
Yeah. I don't think he told him it was his son. He's like, I can just save one person, you know. And the guy was like, had to think about it and then helped him get the parts. So I thought it was really interesting.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's good. I'll have to Google that and see what that was, because it sounds good. But I think that wraps up the very long episode that we've just recorded and all the topics that we were going to talk about. Anyone got anything else to add?
Ashley, watch the JSA movie.
Yes,
will do. Yes, I've actually got it on Blu-ray. I will.
Oh, good.
I'm looking forward to that immensely. Yeah. Thank you.
Cool. We'll talk about that in the next episode. And until then, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time for episode 13.
Bye.
See you soon, guys.
Thank you all so much for taking the time to listen to this episode and previous episodes in the podcast if you have done so. Remember, if you're enjoying the show so far, please do subscribe, share the podcast with a friend, and most importantly, leave us a review. It's those reviews that really help with our visibility and success, and it only takes you a few moments to leave one. As well as that, if you want to find out more about us, head over to our website www.theaspiringkryptonian.com, and if you want to follow us individually on social media, we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and YouTube, so I'll drop those links in the episode description so you can get to know us a little bit better. A very quick shout out to some other very good Superman related podcasts and accounts that we love. The Last Sons of Krypton podcast, the Krypton Report podcast, and Adam Talking Superman over on Twitter. They have some really great Superman-centric discussions and are always dropping great Superman knowledge, so if you are looking for something similar to our show and our account, please be sure to check them out.